everyone, good evening. This is Kyle Dugan with Jupiter Tax LLC, and this is the Taxes FAQ podcast, where I address questions, concerns, comments that people send me or ask me, or just talk about frequently asked questions. So this article is actually from September 15th, so the day that I'm recording this, September 15th, 2020. It's by Planet Money on npr.org. And the article is about, it's a question, should we kill the $100 bill? Okay, I don't know why we would need to. I'm not really sure why there's a bunch of people that are talking about getting rid of cash altogether. When, I don't know, 90% of transactions are digital? It's kind of like, why are we freaking out about the small? It's like, let's go after the 2% and make them be like everybody else because we're crazy control freaks. Maybe that's not the case, okay? Anyway. So, and you can read the article for yourself and make up your own mind, obviously. This is my response to it because people have been asking me about it. And by people, I just mean, I have one friend that asked me about it, so I thought it was interesting. Okay, so the $100 bill, like the third paragraph in, there's the, where's all the money? What are people doing with it? Nobody knows exactly. It's just pieces of paper out in the world that we can't track. I added the that we can't track part. But the $100 bill is something that, and this next part I've heard from a number of different sources, but people in countries all over the world will a lot of times save money in the form of $100 U.S. bills. And that's their way of saving money. Their local currency is not, they don't feel it's stable enough. It fluctuates too much. And or they don't have a bank nearby, and or they don't like their bank. Their bank isn't FDIC insured because it's not in the U.S. They don't feel, obviously they don't feel safe putting their money in the bank. They feel safe having a $100 U.S. bill in a shoebox probably somewhere. In fact, people in the U.S. I'm sure do this. I'm sure people have a stash of cash somewhere. It's a good idea to have one just in case stuff doesn't work for a couple days during a blizzard, snowstorm, the raging fires of the Pacific coast, or in my area, hurricanes, if things are shut down during a hurricane. With cash you can buy things you need to buy, theoretically, but if you have cash, you feel like you left yourself some options. Okay, and then they also go on to point out that people use cash to evade taxes, and traffic in drugs, people and stolen merchandise, the whole black market. And can I say black market anymore? Maybe we should call it the dark market. Anywhere there's an area. Cash is traceless, untraceable almost. I know as a tax accountant, when I'm working with small businesses, if they do deal in cash for their products or services that they're selling, the cash tends to, I don't want to say disappear. We all know it doesn't disappear, and it's not necessarily someone stealing it, but cash does end up being sort of unaccounted for. So cash-based businesses, I know the IRS really hates them. But or really likes to penalize them and hit them with penalties because of their unaccountability, or what they deem to be the unaccountability. I don't think that the whole people use cash to buy drugs or traffic in drugs, so no one gets to use cash. I hate that argument. It's kind of like, people use the internet to facilitate bombings and all kinds of things, so we should shut down the internet for everybody. So that's, I always hate that argument. Let's see here. So next they talk about, this paragraph. Okay, so Ken Rogoff, a Harvard University economist, argues we'd be a lot better off if there were less cash in the world. A lot less. He argues that getting rid of hundreds, and for the matter 50s too, would let normal people go about their cashy business. I'm not really sure cashy is a word. He also thinks the government should subsidize bank accounts for people who don't have them. And he says getting rid of big bills would make it much less convenient to move around very large sums of paper money. This would effectively raise the cost of using cash to commit crimes. There's a lot there. So if there were less cash in the world, it would make more abundance. It's a weird argument, but and I don't know, how does a government subsidize bank accounts for people who don't have them? I mean, I know people don't have bank accounts. Part of the problem is banks let you go negative on your account and keep using your debit card, and then they think that they try to make you pay the fees. I don't have this as a problem, but I've known people in my life that just cannot balance a checkbook, or even just they can't keep money in their account. So every month they would owe hundreds of dollars to their bank. I mean, of course, the bank loves those people that actually pay the fees, but. And I don't know, is that what you mean by subsidize? Like the government would pay the fees? I mean, you can't, I don't know that you can make people have a bank account and keep up with a bank account. I mean, some people need to have the cash, and then they do literal, like physical envelopes for things. Because, well, there's the whole digital money doesn't really feel real, so people use credit cards and they spend more of it. Maybe that's what he's talking about when he talks about that would grow the economy. We just spend more. And also, what's that show where people locked up abroad? I mean, this guy should watch some episodes of Locked Up Abroad. Where people try to tape money to their body because they're trying to get it through some country to another country. You can't move. Physical money is hard to move, period. Whether it's in hundreds, 50s, or 20s. I mean, there's really not, you can't really move a large sum of it. Maybe he's watched too many of the TV shows that talk about, here's $2 million. Like, what? In a backpack? Okay. Let's see. And then he goes into, and it's the same guy. Ken Rogoff talks about the negative interest rates. I hope we don't go there. Okay, and he explains. At moments like the one we're in now, people hoard money because they're scared. But when everybody hoards money at once, the economy collapses. The job of the Federal Reserve is to fight the hoarding instinct by lowering interest rates. Lower interest rates make it less appealing to hold money and more appealing for businesses to borrow, to invest, and hire workers. Okay, so the hoarding of money that he's talking about, people are responding to what they perceive to be as a crisis. and there are real crises, and there are, of course, I don't want to say fake crises, but I mean, if you watch the news, there's a crisis every day. Every day it's the end of the world. So I'm not really sure how anybody's spending any money at all, right? Yeah, okay, I get it. You're just not watching the news. That's probably a good plan. But so I don't know, this whole part doesn't seem to fix the root cause of the problem. I mean, people are hoarding money because something happens, and then you're trying to manipulate and get them to not hoard money, but you didn't really fix the reason why they're hoarding money. So, anyway, and this is probably why some of the things that economies do to fix things, or governments do to fix economies, don't work, is because it's kind of like, oh, my kid has a temperature, I will just give them ibuprofen and it will go away. But of course, the fever comes back because the kid's sick. You're not addressing the cause of the fever, you're just addressing the fever. So, but maybe there's more. Maybe there's more to their genius plan. This is where big bills come in. Interest rates below zero would mean people who had money in the bank would lose a little money every month. So if the Fed tried to push rates much below zero, people could just go to the bank and take their money out in cash. Oh, okay. So, yeah, if you have negative interest rates, if you have negative rates, yeah, duh. If my bank, so let's see, I have one bank account that earns interest, and it's like 0.8%. So if they charged me even a percentage point to keep my money there, I just wouldn't keep my money there. But then if you get rid of cash, aren't people just going to move it to Bitcoin or Ethereum or any of the, how many cryptocurrencies are there now? Question, are there more cryptocurrencies or more genders? Send me a response on what you think. Okay, here we go. Here's a good paragraph. Some people have argued that the very idea of negative rates would distort markets and freak everybody out so much that negative rates are not worth trying. Jerome Powell, the Fed chair, has said the Fed is not considering negative rates at the moment, but in the next crisis or the one after that, negative rates might help jolt the economy of a slump, driving down unemployment and making almost everybody better off. Plus, would it be so bad if it were just a little harder to make money from crime? So, I really don't want to get to the point where cash is synonymous with crime. I feel like it would be easier to just use a cryptocurrency for crime. I feel like cash is kind of a pain in the butt for crime. And you'd be better off using a cryptocurrency. You'd probably be better off inventing your own cryptocurrency. Wait, no, mining for it, right? Anyway, those are just my thoughts about the idea of destroying and getting rid of the $100 bill, and some other random thoughts on the negative interest rates and cashless society. The U.S. dollar is a fiat currency, and like all fiat currencies, they do all go to nothing or to zero. So that is probably the end of the line for that. Thank you, everyone. Hope you have a great night, and send me your questions.